My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubow. And have you ever wondered what it takes to turn fear into real estate success? Meet Shanna Arruda from Riveting Sky Investments. Stay tuned as she shares her journey from doubt to clarity in the world of property investments. Shanna, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. So, a big part of real estate investing, especially at the beginning, is that doubt as to whether it is for you or whether you're making the right moves or whether the strategy you're picking is going to get you the result that you're looking for. You know, there's so many different things to do. So take me a little bit back to the beginning of the real estate journey and, you know, before maybe you bought any properties or anything. How did you get into real estate investing in the first place?
Right. So a little bit of a backstory quickly is growing up, my family lived paycheck to paycheck. We didn't talk about money growing up. I didn't really realize the financial strain we were under, but reflecting back as an adult, I'd say we lived in poverty. We moved around a lot. It was very difficult on me to make friends constantly. And then as an adult, there was a day where I realized that my own household was living paycheck to paycheck. And I realized that if I didn't do something about it, the cycle was just going to continue on to my children. So I had to try to do something different than the old work hard, save money that my grandparents did and my parents did, because it just wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, fear did hold me back a little bit there. I started my real estate investing journey in 2019 when I started getting myself educated. That's the same year that I met Dave. But the fear was such a roadblock, and shiny objects of all the different ways you could invest was a nice distraction. So that kept me from actually having to face my fears.
Yeah, because you could go from strategy to strategy, never really investing enough time to get a result in any of them. It's like, oh, I like flipping. Oh, I like buy and hold. Oh, I like multifamily. Now I'm going to try, foreclosures or something. And you do have to stick a certain amount of, it's usually about 8 to 16 weeks to see something kind of hatch out of doing real estate. And if you don't give it like a true 8 weeks, it can be a little bit challenging. So how did you overcome that doubt that a lot of real estate investors or aspiring real estate investors never surpass?
So I continued getting myself educated. I, paid for coaching. I got all the necessary help that I could. And I finally had somebody say to me, "What do you really want to do with real estate investing? What's your goal?" And I said, "I want to own multifamily properties." And he's like, "Stop getting distracted with everything else and do that."
Yeah. And that can be big too. So was that like a mentor or a colleague who straightened you up and said, like, what do you want? And do that?
Yeah, it was one of my coaches. So he just said, "Stop getting distracted. There's so much you can do, but what is it that you want to do?" And I was stuck in this mindset of, "Oh, I don't have money. I don't have money to buy real estate. So how about I go into wholesaling? I can do wholesaling because you don't need money to do wholesaling. And then I can get myself some money." The whole idea of going out and raising capital was so scary to me because there's the fear of rejection. That was huge for me. Like I said, I moved around a lot. I had to constantly be making friends. Usually I was successful, but there were instances of rejection. And so I fear that. Like that's definitely a fear. But then the other fear is of losing other people's money. I know what it's like to live without money. I know that I'll be okay. but I don't want to lose somebody else's money. It's like having somebody else's child in your car. You're so much more careful driving when you have somebody else's children in your car.
Well,
Drive
you'd
around my
think
own
so, right?
children, and it's, yeah, I like with my own children. Of course, I'm more careful than when I drive alone. But when I have somebody else's children, I'm like double checking to make sure seatbelts are on and like doing all of the right things, right? Like you try to be very careful with other people's. So
Hmm.
losing other
You have to
people's
be
money was
careful not to
scary.
get you have to be careful not to get complacent, because then you start like, oh, I've picked this kid up a bunch of times and I've had
Mm,
this investor relationship for a while, and
mhm,
um you can start getting complacent. But really, I think real estate investing is um responsible debt service. That's
mhm,
like that's how you survive the business, whether it's the bank, whether it's your partners, um debt service or no properties. That's kind of the mix. So what sort of challenges have you had along the way from kind of your start here to where we are today?
right. Um, so one, the first challenge was actually doing it, right? Finally just going out and starting to do that. So luckily I have had people like Dave in my life who have encouraged me to have relationships with people and to build those up. So he talks a lot about like keeping relationships warm. So I've spent a lot of time on relationship building, so that was important to me. And I found that when I went to raise capital, it was people who knew me who were
Hmm.
standing up and going, yeah, like let's do this. So definitely having those relationships is important. Uh, so that wasn't as much of a struggle once I actually started doing it. Once I started
Hmm.
doing it, it wasn't as scary as I thought. Um, uh, then there's a whole bunch of other struggles that come along the way. You know, you have to make sure that you have the right team. So I had a lot of good people as part of my team, good lawyer, good realtor, all kinds of good other things. But my mortgage broker, as lovely as she wasn't the right broker to work with on this property.
Mm.
So it's a learning curve, making sure that you have the right people in place.
Yeah,
So
there's
that's one
really,
of the difficulties.
we were on a podcast earlier, and the guy said the two pain points for scalability are usually money and people, and not so much
Mm-hmm,
deal flow. Because deal flow,
mm-hmm.
that can come and go. But if you don't have the people to do it and you don't have the capital to do it, well, deals come and go. But the
Yes.
other two you have to go and find. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, what would you say your unfair advantages? What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
So I'm a little bit of a research nerd. I really enjoy doing research. So like doing things like running numbers and looking at properties online and doing all those kinds of things. I love it. I love doing it. And even before I was doing real estate investing, I was
Hmm.
constantly checking, what's for sale and what the cost of things were. So understanding the market and being aware of like what's out there really helped me. Um, so yeah, that's
Doing
probably
the
one of the
research, yeah, because
things.
some people want to skip. Some people want to like get through that. They're like, oh, we got to do the research now. Let's get through it. Let's quickly glance at the comps. Yeah, it's good enough, and let's keep going. So yeah, that's probably a very unfair advantage to
Mhm.
enjoy the due diligence section, because there is. I always say research is like 99% due diligence and about
Yeah.
1% action. Either you do it or you don't. But
Mhm.
figuring out if you should or not is pretty much the whole game. So, um, from here going forward, what would you say is holding you back from really scaling this thing up?
I don't think there's really anything holding me back currently. The biggest thing probably holding me back in an idea is that I have this multifamily property that we closed on 2 months ago,
Hmm.
where we've kind of inherited some tenants. Some of
Yeah.
them are wonderful, and others are a little bit more difficult. So right now, trying to deal with the difficult tenants is probably the only thing. Um, on just making sure that I go further and do more. But I already have plans in place to buy my next property before June. So not a whole lot holding
Yeah,
me back.
the stabilization process, right?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
dealing with a little bit of that on a fourplex, and it's a process, like it can be drawn out depending on leases, etc. But you can stabilize a building. It's just how long is it
Mm-hmm,
going to take and how much is it going to cost? But
mm-hmm.
that's usually why you buy the things, because we see that the challenge is in the tenants, right?
Right. And this property is in Ontario. So we're up
Mhm.
against the landlord tenant board
You're gonna
too,
have
and
to
making
move in.
sure we, well, so I can't because that only works for small
Mhm.
buildings. Unfortunately, we have 11 units.
Shared kitchens
So
or something like that. Yeah. So you can't really move in and move out. But
it's
it does help to have
too
someone
big.
on the inside living there. That's what I've
Hmm.
heard, is someone on the inside representing the management who is in one of the vacant units and is there all the time. Like, hey, quiet down. Oh, unit so and so is actually violating noise things, and start,
Yeah. So
working on the trouble.
yeah, one of the things like we were talking about, like good tenants and not so great tenants. I have myself a tenant who is very nosy and likes to call me all the time and let me know everything that's going on all the time.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
yeah,
Built in.
I have an inside person, and she even like she gets to know people. So there was somebody who was going to be moving out, and she actually called him up for me because I didn't have his number because it was a brand new building. And she's like, listen, you need to call her and get your stuff out. Otherwise, she's going to put locks on the doors and you're not going to be able to get it.
Mhm.
None of this was coming from me. It was great. I was like, yeah, go on with it. So,
Help me out here. So,
yeah.
um, multifamily is a business of raising capital typically, because it
Mm-hmm.
usually does take a big bite. What are you
Right.
doing to fund the deals that you're working on these days?
Yeah. So, right now, what we are doing is raising funds for renovations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for that, yeah, we're just going to be reaching out in different ways to try to get the capital for that. With the building that we just bought in December, they were people that I know, and they have an equity portion in the building, so they're part owners of that. The next area that we're going to be raising for will be an interest
Mm-hmm.
percentage. So borrow that money, get the interest for it, and then we'll refinance the property in 12 months and get that equity out for them and get them all
Okay.
paid up with their interest.
Yeah, and that's really the game, because like 20 units in Ontario, you probably had to raise 1 million, maybe close to something like that, depending on where it is, obviously. So there's some
Yeah.
smaller towns,
So
but
this
still 20 units.
this is a smaller town, and it's 11 units.
Oh, sorry,
Um,
11 units.
yeah, it's fine. Um, but I managed to get this 11 units, which is only 2 hours from Toronto, for just a little over $1 million total.
There you go. So maybe 500,000, something like
Yeah,
that.
we raised 350 because we wanted to have like a little bit of money in the bank to have that cushion in there. And also we did a bit of renovations, just some lipstick on some of the units.
There you go.
Mhm.
So, for people typically, especially investors you already have and new investors, there's typically some sort of capital attraction that you're working on, whether it's social media or calling them up on the phone, or maybe meeting them for coffee or dinner. What are some ways that you're keeping your old money partners, the current ones, kind of in the loop, as well as getting new ones on board?
Yeah, so for current investors, I send out some emails to update them once in a while. And then
Hmm.
also we have quarterly Zoom calls. So
Okay.
every 3 months we meet on Zoom so that we can do a big update and everybody gets to find out what's happening, ask questions, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. Also, some of them start to become friends. So you start to go out for dinner together or have barbecues and that kind of thing. I have a camping trip coming up soon. So a bunch of us investors are going to go camping and do all that stuff. So it's kind
Like
of like
building the
living life.
community, right?
Yeah, living life together, right?
And so are you documenting that process on social, or how is that going as far as like broadcasting the message that, hey, I'm in business?
Yeah, so I do a little bit on Facebook mostly. Facebook is my social media of choice. So I do post some things on there. Um, and then as for trying to attract new investors, it's the
Mm-hmm.
same things. It's going out and networking. I like to go to like any events. I love doing the social networking and going to different things. So sometimes there will be an event that's being held and it'll be something I already have knowledge on, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to the event anyway because it gives me an opportunity to network and talk to people. And then after events, you can go out for dinner afterwards and have that social time where you can relax and get to know each other even deeper than just real estate investing, because you want to know
Mm-hmm.
what people's personalities are like and what their values are and those kinds of things.
Yeah, definitely. So, um, when people are typically investing with us, they need to like, know, and trust us. So, what are some ways that you're able to build that relationship a little bit further so that people can ultimately get to know you and then like you and then ultimately trust you enough to put 350, $400,000 into a bank account for you to go and buy this multifamily property, for instance?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, I used to think it was really a bad aspect of my personality that I share a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person who withholds things. I'm a bit of an open book. So that has come to my advantage because people know that I'm honest. Like I will tell you the good and the bad. It doesn't make a difference to me. I don't have a reason to keep any secrets. So
Mm-hmm.
I am very, very trusting person too. So I kind of give off that vibe as well. I kind of expect other people to play back, right? So I'm open with sharing my own life and my story, and I expect kind of the same in return. And frequently that's how it works. When I share, other people then share in return. So
Okay, so let's uh let's talk a little bit more about deals. So when looking for deals, are you a find the deal and then go get the money, or do you prefer to have your capital partners kind of interested and then go looking for deals?
yeah, this one's a hard one. It's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And I sometimes have difficulty with it because it would be nice to just, have some money sitting there. Now, I do have some partners who like I've asked them, do you want to work together again in the future? So I do kind of have some people that I can call upon. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to have the money when I need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the deal comes first. And when the deal comes first, you post the deal. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There's always new deals. So it's not a
Mm-hmm.
huge deal if I don't get
Yeah,
to
they're like
complete something.
buses, there's always
Mhm.
one coming up. It's just like how long do you have to wait in between and how willing are you to wait in
Mhm.
between? So, um, what sort of ways can we see in the future? Like, are you going to be expanding into these other social medias like TikTok or Instagram to kind of broaden the base, or are you going to lean more towards something like a LinkedIn and Facebook and really talk to the core people that you're already networked with or who are closer in network than some random person on Instagram?
I'm glad that you asked that. So Facebook will probably always be my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I try some of the others. I do have Instagram. I do have TikTok. I do have LinkedIn. I have those, but I just don't really use them all that much. I like the organization of Facebook. It seems to have everything I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I do really like that. So I do post occasionally on the other ones, but not very often, and especially not on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'm horrible with using that. I don't
LinkedIn
know.
does have a lot of professionals on it. That's the thing, right? Every CFO and COO and every C-suite person or system analyst or all those like particular positions, they're on LinkedIn. And so
Mhm.
I've been really, promoting that to people who are raising capital, say, hey, if you're going to make a post on Facebook, take ChatGPT and make it into an article and throw it up
Right.
on LinkedIn and just kind of cultivate that experience, because there are different people that are on LinkedIn who are on Facebook who aren't
Mhm.
on LinkedIn. So there's always a few leads here and there. Now, is multifamily the future? Is that where you plan to put all of your energy, or is it maybe mixed use? Like, has Chinese syndrome kind of snuck back in a little bit, or how's that going?
Yeah, so I think multifamily is probably where it's at for me.
Mhm.
It's where, like I said, somebody asked me, what do I want to do? And that's what my answer was. I can't imagine myself doing anything else besides multifamily.
Mhm.
Eh, But I do like the mixed use. So the property that we got in December, it has 9 residential and 2 commercial.
Mhm.
So we're taking the 2 commercial and we're changing them into professional offices and renting them out by the office. I really like that idea. So it's kind of like doing a student rental where you rent out by the room, except
Mhm.
for they're professionals who want a nice office space. So maybe a
Yeah.
little easier to take good care of the building.
Yeah, I've been in one of my old chiropractors used to be in a professional building. So you'd come in one room, some guy like fixed iPhones, and then the next one was like the chiropractor, and then I think there was maybe another chiropractor or like a physio person. So it was like mostly that, but
Right.
also the guy at the front fixed phones in one of the offices. I guess you don't need a huge setup. And maybe, you're a broken back, a broken phone, you can get it done in one stop shop. So, um,
That's funny. That's funny. Because like I myself, I'm a psychotherapist.
yeah,
So that's where I got the idea from. I rent a room in a
a
building with other
multi-space building. Yeah.
professionals. Yeah. And so there are a lot of other psychotherapists in the building, but there are other professionals as well. But I don't think any of them are fixing phones, but that's funny.
Hey, that's a type of profession, I guess. That's a professional,
It is.
um, professional thing. So, um, I guess the last question really is, when it comes to the partnerships that you've put together, what did you like and what maybe wasn't so great about the way you set it up, and what would you do differently moving forward?
That's an interesting question.
So it's like, what type of capital would be ideal? Are you looking for like long-term capital or short-term capital, and why?
Yeah, so I do like having some equity partners. I'm of the mindset that I'd rather have a piece of a pie rather than the whole pie.
Hmm.
And I do like to share. It's very good and very good quality, and I've been good at that most of my life. So I do like having the equity partners, but there's definitely a place for having short-term money because there's no reason really to have my equity partners bring in money for renovations.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
but interesting question.
you definitely don't want the wrong money for the wrong use. You want to match the
Yeah,
money to the use.
not just that, but also different investors have different goals too. So when I was raising money for equity partners, I had like a lot of different meetings with people, and there were some people who I said, this isn't the right property for you at this
Mm.
time. So even though I am an active partner, I'm not going to just take anybody on. I want to make sure it's going to be a good fit for me and for them. Like, I don't want to bring on somebody and then it turns out that it was not the right fit for them. I don't think that would be
Mhm.
fair or right to do.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think really all that's left is to connect you with some people. So if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more about your investments in the future of your business. What do they do? How do they find you?
Well, the best ways of finding me are finding me on Facebook, Shanna
Mhm.
Maria Arruda, or going to my website, rivetingsky.ca, or emailing me at rivetingskyinvestments.outlook or not dot at outlook.com. Or you can text me 705-344-5823.
There you go. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by and just really digging in on that shiny object syndrome. And hopefully we can help a few people just stick to their goals and find a strategy that actually works with their goals. So I really appreciate you stopping by.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. If I could just leave you with one quote that somebody told me, and I do not
Mm.
remember it, And that was feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's a big one. That's I actually saw that on Facebook earlier. It says, it said something like heroes and something like heroes and something I can't remember, but it was feels the fear and acts anyways. And that's really where um you're never really gonna know. But you can get more educated so you can reduce the fear. But really is fear really is the thing that can hold you back. And it's pretty easy. It's just in the research. Get more educated, get a mentor, get a coach, read a book, listen to a podcast like this. It might be that little push you need to get over the line.
Thank you so much, Bryce.
Yeah, no problem. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.